Welcome back to the Workplace Safety Show. As always, Jay Smith along with Darren Llewellyn. And I'll tell you what, we want to give a shout out to some folks out east last week. Darren and Llewellyn was out there giving one of our free Arc Flash seminars in Richmond and out on the East Coast, and had a good turnout. I'll tell you what, true commitment to safety out there. A lot of those folks, that are really involved and really want to make sure they're doing the right things as it pertains to electrical safety and Arc Flash in particular. And speaking of, a topic came out of that we're going to talk about a little bit today, an article actually that you wrote revolving live work, no live work, lockout, tagout. So Darren, why don't you just let everyone know a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, the question came up about, we have a no live work policy, therefore we don't really need to do 70E. And that's not true. That's not true. So we discussed it out there with the people involved. But then I came home and it was fresh in my memory, so you know how I do. I wrote an article about it, and which is on our website now. You can download. It's called No Live Work Policy, I think. And the myth that people get into is that we don't need 70E because we don't do live work here. Well, it's a catch-22. You can't do a no live work policy without doing live work because of lockout tagout. And if you have every place has to have a lockout tagout program, and every place has to have that in writing, has to do a lockout tagout analysis of all their equipments, in writing for any equipment that's got more than one source. And when it comes to electrical things, when in lockout tagout, it's a little more difficult. You don't just shut the thing off and try a button or something. You actually have to verify that it's isolated.
Right.
No matter how, that's what the article touched on, no matter how sure you are that you've turned the machine off, it's never off. It's never off until you verified that it's off. And what 70E requires, and OSHA requires, is that to verify this, you use a known good voltmeter. And that is a voltmeter that's appropriate for the circuit, that's appropriate for the voltage, that's appropriate for the hazard. And a person that's qualified to use it does this. And you use that voltmeter and you measure to make sure the voltage is gone. You measure phase to phase, phase to ground, and you test the voltmeter before you used it. So you have to test the voltmeter before you test the circuit. That makes sure the voltmeter is working. You test the circuit to make sure you did in fact turn off the right one. Then you retest the meter to make sure that the thing's still working. The idea there is, I guess, if the meter worked before the test and after the test, probably worked during the test. So that's the idea. Now here's the catch-22. That's live work. When you test the meter, when you test the circuit, when you test the meter again, that's all live work. So even though you have a no live work policy, which is something we applaud, we like that. We like that. We encourage you to have that. But remember to shut a panel off and to shut a, de-energize a circuit. Lockout tagouts required. In lockout tagouts, you're required to verify the isolation. And until you verified it, it's on. You can never waver from this. You can, no matter how sure you are, the circuit is turned off. If you're going to contact de-energized components, what we call the shiny parts, when you're going to contact those, you have to verify. No matter how sure you are it's the right disconnect, you must verify. That's live work. So we applaud your efforts. There's no live work policy, but there's a problem there. You have to do live work to not do live work. So everybody has to implement 70. Everybody has to buy PPE. Everybody's got to go through this.
Right, and that's what we hear a lot is we have a 100% perfect lockout tagout policy. Well, great, you're supposed to, and that's where we say we applaud you for that. But that's not your exemption from implementing PPE and having a hazard analysis. You still, to go through that is basically what you're saying. Summing this all up is you need to follow the practices that are outlined in 70E as it pertains to training, arc flash analysis, and PPE. Now, back to the PPE, once you've identified that hazard and you've gone through your lockout tagout checklist, at that point then, as long as you've established the safe work practices for doing that work, at that point then, technically yes, you can remove your PPE working in that circuit. Now we know it is de-energized.
Yeah, once you've de-energized it and verified isolation and gone through the entire lockout tagout process, and you're going to work de-energized, and you're sure you're de-energized by testing it, then yeah, you can take off the PPE at that point because you're just working on a de-energized circuit, but make sure you're working on the de-energized circuit.
Right, right. Okay. Well, good. Well, that was a topic that came directly out of a seminar we'd done last week, and it's something that we hear quite frequently, and we have to provide a lot of education a lot of times on this, just this lockout tagout piece in general as it pertains to arc flash. But good article. Recommend go to llewellyn.com. Look for this article. It's a short read. Sums it up pretty quickly. Actually calls out the codes and standards that address this as well. But as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. We, get on the phone, shoot you an email, make sure everybody understands what it is we're talking about with this no live work policy, and hopefully we can help some folks out as they're struggling with that. But I think that's about it for today's topic.
I think so.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us,
Thanks.
and we'll look forward to seeing you back here next time.